Okay, so I just want to start today. We'll just I got a little visual where we can kind of review where we want to end up once this implementation is done and what it kind of means to get through all this. Because I know we're kind of in the weeds here right now. So just to start out with kind of an overview, just a visual of kind of where we want to head. So the implementation goals. So we have our organization, Provo, and within Provo, we've got all of our business unit. We call them business units. To you guys, it's going to be departments, which we're going to take a look at. Organizing that once we're kind of through this. And each of those, you've got groups of people doing work. You've got management teams. You've got so these kind of map out to the positions that we have in our. We call them positions in our system. And then you've got all of this documentation that you need to track. You've got, these are your certificates, the documents, the lists that we're putting together right now, right? You've also got regulatory requirements, right? All your legal and standards that these documents kind of roll up into. That's the regulatory side of our product. You've also got the inspections. So you got certain people in your organization, supervisors, doing inspections and audits throughout the organization. You've also got to distribute the right information to the right people, right? So that's the training distribution. You're also monitoring it, so you need reporting through dashboards, and you got to stay on top of all of these things that you're looking to accomplish. And then you've got your incident reporting when something goes wrong, right? We need to capture all that information. That's going to be, in this case, it's going to be what we talked about yesterday, consolidating those different views for HR, for legal, for PAM, to make sure that we're capturing all the information, consolidating in one place, but keeping the interface simple enough that each of the people who need to interact with that can easily. We've got to put all this together under one piece of software. So we're going to end up, Compliance Science is going to pull together the organization, all your people and positions, incident accident reporting, and all of your inspections and audits that you're tracking right now. So this is where we want to be at the end of all this. Maintaining 100% compliance, all of your documentation. All right. So that's kind of the high level of where we want to go. What we're going to be working with sort of in these sessions for today and tomorrow are going to be just the organizational structure of our system. So we've got business units, which are your departments. So we're going to have to figure out how we want to organize those in the system. The positions are basically going to be the groups of and then let me go back. Sorry, guys. So under business units, you've got your positions and your users. The positions basically hold sort of the listings of the compliance documents that you're going to need, and they relate those over to the users. So that's why on the worksheet we've got both of those represented. We're going to end up putting those together. We're going to introduce some new business unit maintenance, so that after after these sessions, you'll be able to maintain and manage business units as they change over time. So there's going to be some new processes put in place for you guys. We're going to run through, so this is a listing of all the things that need to be done in order to manage those business units and the responsibilities. We're going to set that all up for you guys. We're going to go through a review process. Once we've got the system actually set up with the data that we kind of collect today and over the next little while, we'll set it all up, and then there's going to be an audit and review process on this side to make sure that it is in fact how we need it to be. Okay, same with positions. After we leave, you guys are going to need to maintain the training items that are under each of the positions. So you won't actually need to add and remove positions. Those will all come in from Kayenta. But the actual certifications and licensing and all the things that go underneath those positions, as those change over time, you'll have to manage those. So like we're doing on the spreadsheets today, you're doing them in bulk, but you'll have onesie twosies coming in all the time, right? You'll need to modify as things change. We'll go through the same process here. So we'll give you the written documentation on how to do that. We'll go through the same kind of process here for position verification. So once we've got it all done, each business unit will have access to how we've got it set up, and then we'll go through and make sure that that fits the needs and is exactly what you guys require. The users for you guys come through from the Kayenta interface. So the Kayenta interface is the system of record for all of the users, positions, and the actual assignments of those positions to the users. What comes across through the interface, the web services, we stage that data on a nightly basis. We validate the data against what's already in our system, and then we update it. There's reporting that comes out of the system for any exceptions that couldn't be handled, etc. And then those get reviewed and fixed. So on our side, we're the system of record for the certifications, licenses, incidents, accidents, and any task management. Reports, which we haven't looked too much at, those are actually managed in the system through the same positional structure. So basically you create groups of reports and you assign them to groups of positions, and that's how you distribute the access to the reports. And we'll do the same thing again. We'll set up all of the flows to manage those, the written instructions, who's responsible. The same for incident reporting. So this is going to change, obviously, after the conversations that we've had. This one goes through sort of the sectioned one. But for you guys, that's going to be quite a bit different because we're going to have to integrate the workflow. But we'll set all that up as well. Same thing here with the documented instructions. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish over the next couple of days, other than the incident reporting, because that's actually considered a gap right now for us because we need to make some accommodations for the way you guys do it. But for the business units, positions, users, and reports, we're going to take care of those while I'm here for the next couple of days. Basically, what I want to get accomplished over today and tomorrow is we have the worksheets, and I'd like to get them as filled out as possible. I know there's going to be changes over time. I know that you're not going to have all the information available to you right away, but we need to use them right now so that as we move through the implementation, we can rely on those as a template. And then when the implementation actually comes, that we're going to implement those things and start doing the verifications, we have all that information. Okay? Now, I was going to talk today about the timeline, but the timelines haven't been set completely by HR yet. So I don't know exactly when Kayenta is going to be implemented, and we kind of have to go after them. So I can't say for sure right now what the timeline is, but once we know what that turns out to be, then we can just slide our timeline in after that. Now, what I wanted to start out with is if we can talk first about the organizational structure. Gary had given me, let's see, the org chart. Sorry, let me just bring it up. So I took a shot at creating the departments, which I kind of just mapped to. These would be business units in ours, which would kind of be the reporting units for all of the data we're going to be maintaining. And I just want to go through this and make sure I haven't missed any, and if there's opportunity to consolidate any that we can see. So let me just bring up the org chart that Gary had sent me. this is the high level one. And my biggest question here was under the administrative, we've got all these departments, which to me, after talking with you guys and kind of meeting you guys, it appears that those should be departments on their own, right? They don't actually. Do you want those to be consolidated underneath one administrative, or should they be? Do they all have their own policies, procedures, that kind of stuff, or do they need to?
Under which ones are you talking about?
Sorry, under the administrative here. We've got, so underneath here, we've got the economic development, community development, redevelopment, public works, administrative, energy.
Those are all separate departments.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, and then underneath administrative services is where you're going to find IS, HR, Justice Court.
Okay, yeah. So I broke those out as well as their own, because I think, like just from the departmental structure you gave me, and from basically the folks who are here with different policies and procedures, those are separate departments as well. Does that make sense?
They're separate divisions, but they do report up through the administrative services department.
Okay, so when we're collecting the training information and statistics, would we need to collect that at the divisional level, or do we want just one big number at the top there for administrative? It seems like it would be through the divisions.
When you collect the data for...
Well, a lot of the reporting so a lot of the reporting goes through business unit. So you basically say, I want to see how compliant my IS department is, and that would be considered. You'd have to do that as a business unit.
Correct.
Right. So then those would aggregate up to these other units. Now I did it as just one flat. So would the administrative need to see the detail of each of these ones below, or would that just be a reporting structure?
I think the departments would love to be able to break it out into their various divisions. So if you look at administrative services, John, he would like to see, just kind of a general look at all of his divisions, which is IS, HR, and Justice Court, but at the same time,
To see
the
an
directors
overall?
of each of those divisions would want to see their own.
Okay.
And you can break some of the bigger ones, like Public Works would want to break that out by engineering, public services, and water. I imagine Energy would like to see it by electrical operations versus, urban forestry. Same with Parks and Rec.
So here today, for those departments, do we have, because we only have one person for energy, right? Is that right? So how do you are you expecting to see those all differently?
I would like them broke out into divisions.
Into divisions as well? Okay.
Just because it keeps it cleaner for us, because not everybody in that department has to take the same trainings or the same certifications or any of that.
Okay. All right. So we do need to keep it in the hierarchy then. We can't flatten that out. Okay. So we just need to kind of clean this up a bit then. So let me just add in. Now, are there any of these that are, so actually, let me go back to here. Are there any of these, well here, let's just work through it and then we'll decide. Oh. All right, so under admin services, okay, so let's do the admin services first. So there's economic development.
No.
No?
No. Admin services, you'd have to put HR under there. finance,
Okay,
finance, facilities, justice court, and IS.
okay. And then below, so then these also have, is there another layer to these?
No.
Okay, and then community development?
They have 4 divisions. They're not here, but their divisions are planning, zoning,
Yeah,
building, and property management is the 4th one.
all right. Council?
There aren't any other divisions.
Now, is there somebody from council here? You're from council? So you've got your own set of policies and procedures?
Yeah, I mean, it's, as far as like the org chart, because most of these departments are reporting to the CAO, but the council is kind of separate from the administration, but I don't know, do you think that needs to be represented differently on this?
Well, who? Probably not.
I don't think so for this purpose, but yeah, I mean, we, as a department, we have our own procedures for certain things.
Okay.
There's certain things we do that no one else is doing.
You're separate, but in the current structure within PeopleSoft, they're employees of Provo City, so they still
Right.
fall underneath the umbrella of what
Okay, so yeah.
administration would see.
Okay, so who would be interested in seeing how the council group is doing in terms of their training statistics and things like that, and making sure they're up to date? Who would be looking at that and
It
saying,
would be the council office.
the council
It would be-
themselves?
This is mostly referring to like council employees versus like the actual council members.
Okay.
From what I understand.
So should that stay where it
That
is?
should stay
Yeah.
where it is.
Okay,
So they're still subject to citywide training and stuff
Right.
like that, and so,
yeah, and all this, so Provo is the citywide training that
Right.
would be included as well?
Right,
Yeah, and plus whatever you've got of your own?
right.
Okay,
So yeah, I think we just leave it.
okay, good. And then energy?
So I put admin.
Now, are you at this top level, or are you underneath any of the admin or any of the other services there? Energy direct, because it shows here energy is under the CAO, no?
Yeah, so
Should it be
administrative
up?
surface.
It should be over there?
No,
No, it should be where it's at.
administrative services is a department at the city.
Yeah.
So that's separate from the CAO. Those are different things.
Oh, I see, I see.
so the mayor and the CAO have split their responsibility. So the mayor is ultimately responsible, but he's given direction to the CAO to directly supervise X amount of departments. And so that's
Okay.
subject to change at the mayor's discretion, but ultimately, you know, if you have them both at the top, Provo, I mean, ultimately, I think the mayor and CEO would probably like to see the whole city, so I think it's fine the way
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I don't think you need to create a separate CAO.
Mayor and CAO, okay. Okay, so, all right, let's continue then. So,
There are divisions within energy, which is what Laura was going to.
yeah, I just want to make sure I've got energy placed, and is this the right spot for that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go with,
So administration.
okay,
Engineering. Forestry. And then we have something called T&D, which is transmission and distribution.
transmission and distribution, electricity, the lines and stuff, okay. You guys generate your own?
Not currently.
Okay, you know what, I won't remember what that means. Okay. Transmission distribution. Fire,
They would just be one.
just one?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Finance, is that just one?
They're
They're
under
under
administration.
Oh, we already took care of those guys? Okay.
Same with facilities and
Facilities
justice
is over
court.
there too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Justice Court,
Yes,
They're
They're also
under
over
admin.
there.
they're under admin already?
Yeah.
Okay. And legal?
Yeah, just, no divisions, just, well, you could put divisions. What do you think, Denise? Just one? Just one, that's fine.
Okay. The library, that's by itself, does that go under anybody?
By itself.
Yeah, okay. The mayor's office?
So the mayor's office actually underneath it there is customer service.
Okay.
And economic development.
Okay. Parks and Rec?
I don't know what to do because it's either 1 or like 10, and I
Yes.
don't think we want 10 different groups. So
Well, what are they? What kind of,
like the golf course, and they're kind of by facilities. So the golf course, the cemetery, the Covey Art Center, the rec center, the parks operations, which then has divisions under it.
does it have, do they manage, do they all have a different set of content and stuff that you're putting out? Probably on the certificate side, right?
Yeah, but
So you can manage all that through the positions, right?
correct.
Rather than, it's really for the reporting structure. So do you want to see, sort of compliance numbers and training statistics by the total? Or do you want to see it broken out for the golf course? Because you could just look at those for the positions, right? You could just,
Yeah.
golf course manager and where he sits.
Personally, I think we're okay just looking at the overall.
Okay.
So, I have a question on that. So if you've got an ice arena manager and he wants to see the training of his people,
Yeah.
and that's all he'd be interested or she would be interested in, how would they do that if it's set up just one? Like, is it,
The business, you get to, so the other structure is manager and then employees. So you have the report to kind of relationship there. So this is just collecting all the people in that division for the business units, but there is still that relationship between supervisor and employee. So he would just say, show me my employee statistics.
Then I
And he
think we're
gets-
okay, because the manager can just run it for them, they don't. Because there's not really that difference where in one area there's multiple managers, it's pretty much a manager for each area.
Yeah, so you could do it that way. It's more for if somebody's going to come to you and say, okay, I want to see the golf course statistics overall. I want those broken out so we can decide what we want to do across all of the people that your division's responsible for. If that's not going to happen, they're just going to say, how's Parks and Rec doing in terms of the training stuff?
I would think
Do you have any?
I would think you'd want it.
I think you
broken
want it broken out.
Break it out?
Sure. It doesn't have to be, so like me, these guys are underneath engineering, so I did like, so you could do your parks office and then they can,
well, Kara's thinking of that. On the mayor's office, they actually have three. They have the mayor's office proper, which is the mayor and his direct staff. And then you have these two sub-units. So could the mayor's office proper be, like, does it
Oh, I
have to have
see.
a third, or is
Yeah.
it captured by the top one?
That can be captured by the top one. Yeah, so if that's his stuff, you can assign the positions directly to the mayor's office,
Right,
or you can assign them to customer service under the mayor's office. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I think that'll work for those. because you're gonna have the same in Parks and Rec, right? There's some people who work at the administrative and.
The reason I ask is because I know, and Laura has an administration one, and I'm wondering if that administration
Should
one
just
is
go up.
needed.
That's what I was
Oh.
wondering too.
Yeah, that's your
Under
internal
energy.
staff,
Yeah.
under the administration,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, so I'd
Yeah,
probably
that-
take that one out.
That would go under there, yeah, you're right. Okay, good.
I just get, it's hard, because you have all the facilities, but then I don't know what to do about the people that are like sports and events and.
I don't think I think you just keep them under, like I'd probably do Covey, the ice arena, and then just the rec center. And then probably parks. I don't know if you have to break them out in parks.
The forestry's gonna have a lot different.
Correct, urban forestry has a lot of different certifications,
Right.
golf course is a lot
I
different.
forget what
Cemetery is very different.
That's what I'm
Down.
finding out.
But then again, do I put sports and special events at the rec center, even though that's not, I mean, their office is there, but they don't work for them?
I think I would break them out.
sports and special event.
Like,
Yeah,
there's
'cause-
two different categories, you
But-
know?
But the special events
Penn,
people
right?
report up to Bryce, do they not?
They do now, that is correct.
Who's Penn report to?
Doug.
Penn reports, yeah, and that's kind of a funky situation.
Yeah.
Do we wanna just list them all and then just see if we can consolidate some, or?
If they're reporting up through Bryce in the rec center, you probably could just get
do
away
that
with
'cause
doing
it's the
that.
supervisor.
And then maybe create like the sports fields or something like that for Penn or something different.
Okay, so do rec center,
Because you'll want water, solar,
cemetery,
for sure.
that's ERY.
And they all have probably different types of certifications that are required.
Okay.
The golf course,
What they're gonna have to look at, 'cause
Right.
a division
the
director
Peaks
is
Ice
like,
Arena.
oh, where's my division, how's my division operating?
the Covey Center,
COV,
COVEY,
okay,
urban forestry, and then park operations.
okay.
And then I guess sports. There's sort of the outlier.
So what does sports mean? What are
So
those?
the youth and adult sports
Oh,
programs.
programs at the,
They run them throughout the whole city, so.
oh, at any of these places they could be,
Yeah.
oh, I see. Okay.
Would the shooting sports park have, or does that fall under?
I don't know. They do, their employees have to have, I mean, be range certified. This where it gets complicated, but it's three
Right.
people, you know, so it
Is that through Ron
seems.
and
Just keep it in the
Larry?
park.
Yeah, I think it's okay to do it through the park operations.
And then just have a position that has
'Cause,
those
yeah,
special
like I said, it's
things.
3 people, it
Yeah.
seems,
That's kind of how.
shouldn't make their own.
And this,
too.
I mean, urban forestry is only 2 people, so.
this isn't written in stone either, right? I mean,
Okay.
we can modify this over time and
Great.
consolidate as it makes sense and those kinds of things, right? And that might be a good exercise to do as well, and see which of these areas you're distributing the same stuff to, and maybe that's how you start looking at that. Okay, public works.
I know, I'm in the same
Yeah, you're-
dilemma as
yeah.
Kari, but I'll give you our 3 main ones. We have engineering, public services, and water resources. But they are all broke, except for engineering, public service and water resources has like 4 or 5 departments within that division as well.
Okay.
With the airport.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we have those, so I'm thinking we want to break them down because they have different.
I think
You
so.
got the treatment
Wait.
plant, you got the shop.
So, like, public services has, I can tell you who they have under them. They have airport. Fleet. Sanitation. streets, and stormwater. And water resources has several in them too. We have distribution, sources, water reclamation, and wastewater collections.
Is that not right?
Take out the
Where's
I.
the I?
Oh. Not a word I use very often.
Yeah, and wastewater collections. That's it.
That's it? Okay, police, is that right, sir?
We have 4 divisions, and then under those we have breakdowns as well.
Okay,
Well, there's, patrol,
okay,
CID, SOD,
SOD,
mhm,
okay.
and OSD.
So, you're gonna have to tell me what
OC.
those.
Just
We're getting there.
Sorry.
We're getting there.
So what is CID?
It's Criminal Investigations Division. You could just put Criminal Investigations Division if you want the full readout of it. Instead of the definition.
Well, if that's how you guys refer to it, I'll keep
Yeah,
that in there and
we
then,
do.
yeah. This is more of just for my
So,
knowledge.
you know.
And SOD?
Special Operations Division.
Okay.
You just added another.
Oh,
Like your. That's the
I'm just kidding.
No, you're okay.
We know how
We're
our
there.
stuff's
So
set
what
up.
do the CLC guys fit under?
They're under SOD. And that's Operational Support Division.
so like the dispatchers and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff? Okay.
And then under patrol, we have ACO.
ACO?
Yeah, which is Animal Control Officers,
Oh, okay.
if you want to know.
Okay.
There would be parking.
Under
Another-
patrol?
Under patrol, another division, parking. Crossing guards. Motors. K9, well, yeah, I put K9 under there as well. I'm trying to think.
What does motors do?
That's the traffic, like bike, motorcycle officers.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think that's it for patrol. And then under CID, they have CID, or detectives.
So how come you break out the motor guys from the guys in the cars?
The only reason we do is because they do have specialized certifications. Like, if we're thinking in the terms of
Yeah.
certifications, they're gonna have specific ones for them
Okay.
that aren't for
Okay,
everyone else.
For the
on
other, for
patrol.
the regular patrol?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And then under CID, there's detectives. And I think it's
Spell their
No,
DET.
DE.
There's a T after the E,
Yeah.
yeah, and then another E.
BC. Perfect.
And then SVU, Special Victims Unit. And then under SOD is CRO, which is Community Resource Officers, also known as COP. And then there's SRO, school resource officers. You need to O it after the R, at the
Oh.
top, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
School resource, okay.
And then there's SET, S-E-T. That's Special Enforcement Team. And then Task Force. And VIPS.
VIPS,
Yeah,
V-I-P-S?
VIPS. And that's Volunteers in Police Service. You could probably put volunteers.
Yeah.
Leave it at that. The task force is actually Utah County Major Crimes Task Force. I don't know if you want it all there, but typically we call it just task force.
No, I'll leave here, yeah,
They're a
that's fine.
joint
I'll leave
operation.
here, so.
Okay, and then under OSD is records, or sorry, dispatch will be first.
Okay. Okay,
Records, property, and evidence. Property/evidence is what we. Also purchasing and fleet.
that's the maintenance guys, like the garage, taking care of the cars? and
Well, there's a technology expert under that
stuff? Okay,
area, and also the guy that handles our fleet of cars. But,
okay.
I think that's it.
Special teams.
Special teams?
Oh, yeah,
SWAT,
we do
EOD,
have,
non-rescue, those are all under-
that was a question I was gonna bring up, because, with our special teams, we have officers of all ranks and all, you
Mhm.
know, from all over that join up to special teams.
Okay.
So I don't know how, because they'll be in patrol, but they'll also be on a special team, or they're in CID and on a special team,
So I would say that's an additional position, because that would just be something added on to
Okay,
whatever the other stuff is
Okay.
that's assigned to them.
that's a pretty big list. I didn't
Well, I
bring
think
that
some
one
of
up.
these we can actually turn into positional underneath those. I don't know if these need to be treated as a business unit or as a, but we can make that determination as we kind of go through, right? 'Cause, okay, and then on the IS side,
That's under admin services already.
oh, is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm redevelopment, I don't.
Yeah.
see it at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Don't delete that, change that to redevelopment.
Redevelopment?
Yeah. I have a question on the, when you're kind of along those lines of where you've got patrol officers, but they're all gonna be on special teams, is it set up so that if I wanted to go into a police officer position and say, all right, we'd like, here's a list of the available certifications that they could get or teams that they could go on for mountain rescue or whatever, can you split that to say, this is the core of what we want,
Mm-hmm.
and then these are things that if they get them, let's check them off,
Mm-hmm.
but, you know, cause they're gonna, they go in and out of those teams a lot,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and that would be a nightmare to kind of track that as a requirement.
to flip them in and out, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, just to have the list there, so once they get it, you can check it off, so you can see that they have it. Otherwise, you're constantly changing what's required for that particular individual.
So what would be one of, so like what is one of those things, just so I can get my head around that?
SWAT,
Like a bomb squad?
yeah.
Okay, so you've got your, so that's that's a patrol guy who's got some extra skills. So you wouldn't assign him as a bomb squad. So you'd have the patrol requirements to track all that stuff, and then you'd have a bomb squad position that you would add to that person.
But you wouldn't have a separate bomb squad position. You know, there's no, it's just, if you're assigned to the bomb squad, you need to have this certification.
Right.
But there's not like a bomb squad tech that you make a list of all of the things that are done with that.
But I think he was saying he would make it a position, even though it's not technically in the city a position. But for this system, it would probably need to be
Yeah, that's what I'm.
recorded as a position, even though it's not an official job
And
title.
you assign that to
And
the
then we just assign that to
individual,
an individual.
but it's not tied to our position control or
Yeah.
anything.
Well, if there's more than one requirement, like if it is just a one-off kind of exception-y thing, I would just do it individually. But if there is actually, if there's more than just sort of one thing in there that makes him a bomb squad guy, then I think it would be a bomb squad position.
Firearms would be
system.
a better example because they have several armor certifications that
Okay.
they have to get, depending on what role they play on the firearm team.
Yeah, so you have firearm
So-
1, firearm 2, firearm
Yeah.
3, or however they're designated, and then as they move up, that would be a requirement of their
Mhm.
position.
So the only thing I see in there though is that if you're coming in from Kayenta, like
Mhm.
if you're taking this position number from Kayenta for a police officer and saying these are the basic stuff that's required of a standard police officer, that's all gonna come over into compliance science. That'll be that position is assigned to a person,
Mhm.
but this second position that you're talking about doesn't exist in Kayenta anywhere. Would we have to
Mhm.
create it there, or is it created as a list of requirements for a bomb tech in compliance science, and then we assign that manually to a person?
So why wouldn't you put that in Kayenta that this person is acting as a bomb squad? Is that
Because they're already assigned a position
Yeah.
number as a patrol officer, and they're not necessarily, then you'd be assigning a person to two different position numbers, which I'm not sure they even can do that.
But I think for your position numbers, because I think when you and I say position is something different for you, but for you, I think that would be, okay, why would we not assign them an additional job code of bomb squad, or SWAT, or whatever the specialty skill set is?
We haven't really seen
Never done
a
it
reason
before.
to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a patrol officer, and then, they don't go out. They're still spending the vast majority of their time being a patrol officer, and then when an incident arises, they pull them together, and that's the bomb squad.
Okay.
And so, the way you're doing it, that we wouldn't create separate position numbers. I don't even know if you can attach two position numbers to the same person. I don't know if that's even possible, in Kayenta at least.
Yes, in Kayenta, I believe you can.
Assign two position numbers to.
Well,
Or
they
you're talking about,
they
like,
don't
job
call they
codes.
do call them job codes. Sorry, yeah.
Usually we only do job codes if it's different pay, right? Because we have multiple job codes on the same people.
Pay does
No,
not
only
come
one's
into
only got
this at
one
all.
job code per person.
Yeah, and that
Like, if
wouldn't be
they're
a
on a specialty,
consideration
there's
here.
no monetary.
This is just to make
No,
sure
those are
that the
earnings
guys
codes.
who are doing bomb squad work
These
have the
novices,
bomb
oh.
squad
Yeah, those are earnings codes,
Certification.
not
certifications
jobs
covered, so
codes.
they're doing it safe. But the other, so if that's not possible through Kayenta, or it's not desirable on your side as an administrative task, then those can be added just into our system as additional positions and assigned to those people.
I'm thinking that's probably the easiest way
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot for them to have to manage all that, because it's a lot for me to have to manage all
Well, I think
Yeah.
and part of it is because
They move in and out of those teams
Yeah.
all the time.
and there's no HR consideration
No.
for this patrol guy doing bomb squad work, right? Like it's not like his pay changed or anything
It's
like
one of the
that.
requirements to become a senior officer is you have to have involvement on one of those teams.
I see. So it's a check, part of a checklist of
Yes,
Key
but it's
officer,
not,
but beyond that, it's
it's so varied, and they can move from team to team or maybe even be on multiple teams, can they?
not. Yeah, they
Okay.
can.
All right, so I think then that's going to be one of those situations where we actually set up those specialty positions within our system, and it's not fed by Kayenta. He just keeps his standard patrol position, job code
Right.
from there, and then in this system, it would just we'd manage those coming in and out of those positions. Okay, and then are there similar considerations for like a SWAT and a bomb, like those specialty ones? Do they cover multiple specialties? The certification stuff. Like-
Some of the, like armors works for both firearms team and
Okay.
SWAT team.
So that if they get credit into one and then they switch over to another team,
Yeah.
that'll follow them
Yeah.
along, and they'll already have.
Yep.
So that'll work well. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So that's good. Now, how many other departments think you're going to have similar situations to that? Yeah? So there'll be some admin around that. Okay, well, that's actually not too bad. Because we want a majority of it from Kayenta, right? Because that just lowers the burden on you guys. But if there is the specialty, so give me an example of what you've got there, Karen.
So we have like, if you're hired as a fitness instructor, but then you can, if you're Zumba certified, you can teach a Zumba class, but we don't have a Zumba instructor position, it's just a fitness. But you have to have that certification to be able to teach that class.
Okay.
And there's many different certifications you can achieve. Same thing with, you can be a lifeguard, but then you can also be a swim instructor, which is a separate one. You can be an adaptive swim instructor, which is a separate certification.
Okay.
Our ice skating coaches, there are some specific certifications that if you want to teach private lessons, you have to have a different certification.
Okay.
But it doesn't change your job.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, but you're still the base job, and then you've just got
It's
this
just
extra thing.
additional certifications.
Okay. Okay. And then in the energy, is that right? Was the other?
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. So on ours, we have engineering, but we also have like our subtext and our dispatch. They have different things that they have to do, and I don't know if this is the place for that or if the position codes work for that.
That sounds position, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so they all work under
Perfect.
engineering, but then they're gonna have different requirements for the different specialties.
So I
that
think
they
we could
do.
put forestry under transmission and distribution because they are
Oh, okay.
truly under that.
Okay. Now, you guys don't use the same forestry as,
No.
what else do we
Parks
have?
and
Under
Recreation.
Parks and
No,
Rec?
I mean,
It's
we
not
work
the same-
together, but different
It's all
areas.
different guys?
Yep.
Yes.
Different guys,
Specific-
different
Different guys,
certification
different
levels.
certifications,
Because
different
they have to
trees.
do it around power poles and we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they share
They-
much, though? Like, they must have a lot of the same chainsaw and
No.
working at heights and all that stuff, no? Oh,
I mean,
There are those same certifications,
Yes,
but they're
but-
totally separate.
okay.
Yeah, they're,
There's a separate apprenticeship program for the people who trim around power lines that the other ones don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but is it an add-on to a skill? Like, is there a common set there? Or are they both totally different?
They're separate classifications. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but
But they're different certifications.
they're not classified the same. They're
So under
classified differently.
engineering, I'd like to put dispatch as one and then subtext. Yeah.
Subtext?
Uh-huh.
CH?
Yeah.
And what do the subtext do?
Or substation.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna actually just put that in there just for clarity.
Yeah, sure. That's perfect.
All right. This is Okay, so we look pretty complete here. All right. Look at the Parks and Rec. Look how many there are. That's a lot.
Well, the other ones are big too, they're just collapsed. It's just not collapsed.
Now, how many people do you have in Parks and Rec? How many does that represent?
About 640.
Wow, okay.
So, actually, on what Kari just said there, is it make sense to have the Parks and Rec split into two main divisions, Parks and Rec?
We don't do that anymore. We're not two divisions. We are one unified department.
But for
And don't
purposes
forget it.
of,
No, we are not allowed to even use the word division because the word itself is divisive.
it's divisive.
We have operation areas, but we are no longer divisions.
Since when?
Since Scott became our director.
Never mind.
And that's why sports reports to Parks and golf course reports to Scott. We are not split that way.
Good to know.
Let it go.
What is what's the Covey Center? What is
It's an art center,
okay.
performing arts center.
Performing arts? Okay. I'm just gonna just
It's technically called Covey Center for the Arts, if you want to, if that helps.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And yes, Stephen Covey's wife is her name back for your laundry.
All right, that is good. All right, thank you for that. Because I was going to go off of the org chart, which, glad we got that clarified. Okay, that's really good. So that helps us organize the business units. So let me just save this. And then I didn't have an opportunity yesterday to really kind of go over the inspection module. I was just going to run through a quick look at that because I think it would be, I just want to make sure that if there's anybody here who sees an opportunity to leverage that, that they know that that's going to be available to them through the implementation. I think we were talking like on the fire side, for example, those guys have to do a lot of equipment inspection for the trucks. They have to inspect to make sure that it's fully stocked with all the stuff they need, and even their clothing to make sure there's no rips and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure the police have to do
We have
similar.
glove testing and stuff like that too. High voltage glove testing.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure the PPE it's not frayed or anything, right?
Oh, yeah,
That
I
kind
can't
of
have
stuff.
any.
So, how do they do that kind of stuff now? Is it do the guys have a sheet, or is it just expected of them as part of their shift? Or?
The only part of that I fully understand is the firearms part of it. And yes, there is a checkoff sheet and that's submitted, and then
It's
we
gotta be
scan it and
signed
save it.
and all
Yeah,
that.
it has to be signed by an armorer. I
So-
know that Doris, she's over the property division, probably should be here for this part. I don't know if I could get her to
Oh,
come.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, she'd be in charge of more of that area, and then also our technology expert, he handles the fleet and, the computers, phones, all those types of things.
So that's like the evidence room stuff, the
Yes.
properties, everything?
Property
Okay.
handles distribution of equipment, their
Oh,
property
firearms.
for the department and evidence that we
Okay.
bring in, so.
Okay. And then for inspection of like the vests and stuff, like do you have somebody come in, or do the guys do their own?
I do not even know about
No?
that area.
Okay.
You know about, he's not here. Jared might know.
Oh, here's
He's
Jared.
back, yeah.
Yeah, he's back now.
Jared, do you know about equipment inspection for officers? I don't deal with any of that, so I don't.
Sergeants do it.
Okay,
So like, is that done on every shift, or how does that work?
Just randomly.
yeah,
Every
it's just
quarter.
random.
Oh, okay. Are you on the police side or
Yeah.
the fire? Okay. And then inspection of, like, what about the closets for the guns and things like that? Is that all inspected on a regular basis, or
Just
just
the
random?
part of vehicle inspection, or when we do
Okay.
firearms, we'll do firearms inspections at that time.
Okay. All right.
We do audits for like car cameras, audits for body cameras, things like that.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay. And then the vests and stuff, do you have an outside company come in and check those, or how does that work?
Now, they have an expiration date, so it would be beneficial to that.
You just, use them until the expiration and then you get new come in? Okay. All right, so those sound like good opportunities for the inspection module. And things like on the energy side, do you guys do a lot of pre-use inspections on like the hydraulic trucks and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, they do have to do some of those.
You know, their PPE
Yep.
and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So there's a
Okay.
rotation on how often they have to do their high voltage gloves and their low voltage gloves, and our safety officer does that. He keeps them on their
So he
on the
manages that
rotation. Mhm.
through a spreadsheet or whatever he's got going on?
Right, and they
Okay.
just pretty much they just need to come in at a certain time. They have a certain window of time to come in and do that, and then they sign off that they've done it,
Okay,
and then they turn in their gloves usually and switch them out.
and get new ones?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so I think the inspection module would actually be good for, well, all those kinds of things. And then on, for the Parks and Rec, I imagine you're doing a lot of facility.
They do
Stuff?
monthly playground checks.
Yep.
They manage on a spreadsheet, and they have a sheet that they have to go through and verify everything on, and they have a schedule. That's the main one, is the inspections.
Okay.
We do also, our lifeguards at the rec center, we do AED checks once a month. They have that on a schedule.
Sorry, what's the AED?
The shock
Oh,
strap.
the defibrillator? Gotcha, okay. Yeah, so that could all be handled through the inspection slash audit thing, and then that way it would all be consolidated. You could do it even on an iPad as you're going through, and that kind of stuff. That
I'm
would-
curious how that works as far as like, let's take the AED ones. It's somebody has to do it every month, but it's not necessarily tied to a specific person.
Mhm.
So is there that element of it that it's just somebody's doing it, and once it's done it gets checked off, but it's not tied to one individual person?
Well, you can have the inspection itself, you just put in who's doing the inspection. So it could be anybody on your staff. So you can schedule those out. You can schedule them in the system through the task management, which is what a lot of folks do using our system. So you basically, at the beginning of the year, you set up all these tasks with future dates, and then they start notifying people, hey, time for that inspection.
But you would have to assign it to a person to get a notification.
That's to get the notification, that's right. Now, what you can do is if you want to set up email groups, so you could have a group mailing, and it's basically, hey, to the supervisors, it goes out to them, one of you guys needs to do an inspection. So that would just be the notification to prompt them. So it has to be initiated and then stamped by an individual, an authenticated user in the system, right? So that's the only thing you'd have to kind of manage, is who's going to actually do it. But if you did know ahead of time, you could just do the tasking, and then it would you wouldn't really have to do much beyond that. But it sounds like you'd probably have to manage that scheduling though. Okay, so let me just save this. All right. And you guys do things too, like regular fire drills and that kind of stuff, like just in this building alone?
We do.
Yeah,
Sporadically.
yeah, just sporadically.
It'd be nice to be told to do it every year.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then you know it's covered. So that's what the inspection module can do as well. Like, that's just a checklist, an audit almost, right?
We would use it for review of posters.
Yep.
So I don't know if you need to make a list or something.
Like the mandatory stuff you gotta have posted. Yeah. Yeah, that could be part of a facility check, right? Check that, and also check that all the exit lights are working, and you know, that kind of stuff. But, so
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So we maintain job descriptions for the whole city, and it's quite possible that, we like to get them within no more than 5 years expiration. but some of them are really old, because they just, no one looks at them, no one thinks to look at them. Would you do that in this? Would you set that up here, or is that more of a, like a policy expiration thing, or how would you do that if you wanted to track that?
So, sorry, so job descriptions.
So we have like 200 job descriptions, and they're dated as when they went into effect, but some of them may not have been updated in 15 years. How would you set an alarm to say, we want to look at these every
Oh, review your
5
job
years?
descriptions?
Is that an inspection audit, or is that
Well,
is that more of a policy that got
Yeah.
sunsetted, or?
I would put it in, that sounds like it would be a good candidate for just having it in there as the job descriptions as documents. And you would have you would set that review period to 3-year, 5-year,
Okay.
2-year, whatever you want, and then it would notify whoever's responsible for maintaining those that these need to be reviewed and updated.
Okay. Okay.
So probably a requirement of the manager, right, of the department. Okay, so let's have a look at, so basically there's 2 components to the inspections. There's, we call them inspection themes, which are basically the checklist, right? So that's basically you're setting up, these are all the things that we need to take a look at within this inspection. So that could be vehicle-specific stuff, checking, making sure the cubbies have the right stuff in there before the guys go out on the truck. Could be making sure that all of the fire exits are clear if it's a facility type inspection. Could be making sure that all the weapons are stored correctly in the station and locked in cabinets and that kind of stuff. So it's really just a list of things that you want to include in the inspection. So if I take a look here, where is it? Add inspection theme, there we go. Okay, so we've got a few themes kind of already set up just for demo purposes here. So we've got a fire one here, which is basically, it's just making sure the fire equipment is there. It's more of a fire drill, making sure people reach a safe point in the designated time. So you're probably gonna have a fire drill procedure that feeds into this, right? So these are all the things that the procedure takes care of, and these are all the things that we're basically gonna test against. Safety observation tour, so this is, kind of a general walk-around tour, making sure there's none of these things occurring in the facility. Hydraulic lift checklist, this one's pretty short, but basically you want to check the fluids and levels, make sure that it's working in good working order. Lift truck, similar. Obviously, these are very short lists. There would be a lot more. And it would be great for people to... Thanks, Gary. So whoever actually is the lift truck sort of maintenance guy, he would create these lists, right, of what needs to be checked. So pretty easy maintenance here. You can simply add and remove things very quickly here. So it's just going to be a few words, description of what it is you want to do. So we'll just say tires, inflated. Add that as part of this theme. So now every time I use this theme, I'll see these items on it. And then as these themes go away, you can easily just deactivate it so it doesn't show up on the list of selectable themes. So close that. So now if I actually get a notification that says I need to do an inspection, a fire inspection, I can just add an inspection. Okay. So title, I'll just say it's my November fire inspection main office. Okay. Anybody else who was on the inspection with me? I can add additional people. Okay, which department was involved in the inspection? Let's say it was HR in this case. The facility that was inspected, I'm just gonna name office, you can put the address in there or whatever's relevant. And then obviously a date and time stamp that the inspection began. And then this is where I start adding my themes. So I can add my fire theme, and it puts in those items right here. I can continue to add these. So we have a limited list here, but obviously, you know, you would have a much longer list. So I'm going to do the safety observation tour, and I'm going to do the fire inspection. Okay. So they basically show me, this is a preview of what's going to be included. That all looks good to me. If I have any documents that I want to add in here or notes, I can do that here, or an external URL, whatever's applicable. These are common to all the forms. And then this is where I can actually task things out, again, generally against the inspection, not necessarily against a specific item. Any participants in the inspection? I'll leave that blank for now. And I just, when I save it, oh, I leave the date entry. Oh, like that. Let's see. Okay. All right, so now what it does is it actually makes these real, so I can actually go through this and I can do the observation here. So if I want to actually, if there's a little more information about the area, I can add it in here, southwest corner of the building, something like that, a little more specific if necessary. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to look at some things and I'm going to say, yeah, I checked those, they're good. Satisfactory inspection findings, I can add anything in here. I can add an image if I want, take a picture of it, say yes, it's good, so you can so I'll just put a note here, all good for now, something like that. And then this becomes a completed item, okay? Now obviously, for some of these themes, you're not going to, some of the things are not going to be applicable, right? So you build the theme and then you inspect one building, but it doesn't happen to have a certain piece of equipment or whatever it is, right? So you can say, you know what, we're not doing the actual drill today, so this one's not applicable. Confirm that, and it's off your list, okay? So you can keep a manageable checklist, right? So anything that's not applicable there.
And this can all be done from like an iPad.
This can be done from an iPad, yeah.
Wow.
So we have customers, some of our utility customers in Ontario are strictly doing all of their facility inspections and their when the guys leave the facility in the trucks, they do a check of the vehicle to make sure. They're doing all those on iPads at the facility, so yeah.
So are these used for like the CDL walkarounds and some of that, or no? Not as much?
What's
Like,
a CDL walk around?
so when you have a commercial driver's license, then you have to inspect your vehicle
Yeah.
before you go, and
Yeah.
so right now they're doing them on paper, but I was just wondering if this is something that would,
Perfect for that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There's no tournament form, there's
I had a question.
it's all.
In our current database for training, it also includes our inventory for our firearms, so there's a specific serial number that we have to actually be tracking and monitoring details on.
I see, yeah.
So we typically, with maintenance on those, we will have a specific file for just that weapon. Is that possible here? Like, I
Is
don't
there-
see anywhere.
Is there a checklist for each weapon?
Yeah, it's the same checklist basically, but we have to separate each weapon. Like, the history of one weapon has to be
Separate
collectible
from all
and
the
separate
others?
from the others. Yeah, in case a weapon was involved in a shooting, we'd have to have all
Gotcha.
the data on that weapon.
So how would we?
So there's no recording of specific items of property to be inspected. It's just a general inspection of property.
Yeah, you would have to end up doing a theme for each weapon, which you don't want to do.
Yeah,
Because
that
it's the
was-
same theme, right?
that's a lot
It's
of-
overhead, yeah.
It's candy that.
So,
This is nice.
you know what we would do?
So many
So
different
you could use it
applications
here
for
in the
what we do.
facility inspected, and it would be the weapon ID.
Yeah, we could put this here.
And then we could make the reporting match that for you. So if you needed a weapons report, they would go and use the facility, the
And pull that
facility ID
serial number.
inspected, yeah.
Okay.
And we could make that a drop down too, so that it was actually a rigid list and you couldn't mistype it.
Yeah, that would be good.
right? Because that'll happen for sure, and
Yes, I
then
know.
you'll lose an inspection, right? So, yeah, that's definitely something that we could do. Yeah, no, that's great.
Is there anything in this system that is like an inventory control?
No.
Nothing like that though, right?
No,
Okay.
we don't have inventory control.
Okay.
That would, yeah, that would be all done through Kayenta. Now, the one thing we're actually looking at with Kayenta too is integration with the inspection module for, like when you do those truck inspections and you go, oh no, we're supposed to have 4 of those, but there's only 2 in the cubby, that would actually, as an inspection item, that would be obviously a finding, and it would trigger the inventory control system to actually get that replenished, that kind of stuff. As well as, you know, if you've got a finding that is, you know, vehicle tires are bald or whatever, they're not up to snuff, then it creates a work order in Kayenta that actually then gets a maintenance ticket going. So those are the things we're not there yet, but those are the things we're talking to Kayenta about, because they have those systems that actually manage those very well, and that's not something that we do, but it'd be great to trigger those events, especially for an organization like yours, right? Like, that's probably a lot of work to get those going and making sure, and to automate those would take a lot of burden off.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, the more of that we can do is gold, right? So if I do actually have a finding, I say, no, this was not correct. Which one do we have there? Evacuation, pre-designated safe point conducted in timely manner. So, time expired for people and building. So what I ended up spelling it wrong anyway. You can't see that very well. What is it? EXPI.
R80. R80. Just do I.
It's right up to that point, right?
R80.
There we go. So 4 people in the building, time expired. So what you can do here now is, with a finding, you can task out some sort of corrective action, right? So with this, you can, so this is at obviously the inspector's discretion, right? Like he needs to say, okay, something needs to happen about this. So there's going to be, he can make an immediate kind of, the reason they couldn't make it out was because X door was locked and it shouldn't have been, and we need to address that through maintenance. So he can then assign somebody to the maintenance manager or whoever and say, I need this corrected by X date. This is pretty high priority, so I'm going to give it a short time span. I'm going to put this one at a high priority. I'm going to add that. And if I need, so this is an actual, you can create these tasks in the system and forward date them, and this is kind of some of the stuff where it allows you to create those schedules out for the year if you know what it is that you're going to be doing for inspections or whatever. So now I get to add in a bunch of detail here as necessary for this particular thing. I can assign it to a category, subcategory. I can say what days it is. Now the person who actually does the task will be filling in some of this information. Obviously the completion date, scheduling days. I can say, yeah, I want to remind him 3 days before it's due to make sure. High priority is deletable. This is for tasks that are not necessarily have to be done. This one obviously has to, but you can allow the other person, if they're going through the list of tasks and it's already taken care of, they can get rid of this one. It's not used that often because usually when you're tasking stuff, it has to get done. Estimated and actual hours, those can be filled in as well, and then there's some reporting that you can measure how close you were on those at the end of the year. Public description, this is a description of the problem. So, you know, southwest door was locked. Area secured. explode, exit, whatever makes sense. So this is a long description. You can type in as much as you need there. And then the public report is going to be what Ken is going to put in once he fixes this thing. And then that goes through an approval back to the task, to the person who to the inspector, and he gets to approve that this was done. And this can also be, so when Ken gets this, he can subtask it out if he needs to. And he can add comments, and there's attachments if you want to put a picture in or another document or anything like that. All right. So that'll sit on there as a follow-up item until Ken completes that, and then it'll have an approval button on it that I can then go in and review and make sure that it's done. So this will be live until it actually gets signed off on as complete. So we've got the same sort of signature workflow here that we have for, I think we showed it on incidents last time.
And this would all be then generated into some sort of a report. So let's say if OSHA showed up and said, hey, we need to do we're doing an inspection on this hypodufinator. We want to know all of your inspection reports for the last year.
Exactly.
And we could then just go and print that off and just hand it to them and say, here's the proof that we've been doing our due diligence. There was a problem, we fixed the problem, here's the proof.
You got it. Exactly. So you can print the actual inspection out, and it comes out in a PDF form if you need the individual. And then, so it ends up coming like just right from here. And then there is, so this is just basically if you need to print it out as a sort of a form that you would normally fill out. And it, as things obviously get done, it fills in more information. But we only completed the 2 items, so it's pretty short on this report. And then there is, now let me make sure that, let's see if we can take a quick peek at in the reporting here. So for that, there we go. Let's see if the incident reporting is set up. Incident detail, incident summary. So look at that. So I can go, okay, so, oh, sorry, incidents. I need inspection. Do we have the inspection reports? No, we don't. I'll have to bring those up for you. Oh, it might be in here. Oh, I don't have it. So there's like an incident log where you can, and it lists them, and then there's a link that points you to the detail, which will actually print the report, the one that you just saw there. So you can do it by time frame and stuff. I'll have to see if I can get it set up this afternoon, and then I'll show you that. Yeah, I don't have that one in there. Okay, so I just wanted to re-go over that because I think it's probably pretty applicable to a lot of the departments in terms of what you can use that for. It's also used for, like, really audits are the same sort of thing, right? If you're doing process audits, it's really just a checklist of did you do all of the process things correctly, and you can run them through there. Any questions about the inspection stuff? Do you guys see that being applicable to your departments? Maybe not council, I don't know if there's much there. Public Works, though, probably. Yeah? And legal.
It is for me because I'm risk and safety.
Yeah.
So I would work with the individual departments to make sure that they're doing their inspections.
These inspections, you would review those, yeah?
And I will go oft times to locations or to job sites and just do a random inspection on my own.
Perfect, yeah.
So I would use that.
Yeah, that'll be very useful for you. Yeah. And then, I mean, the good thing about inspections is that they're a predictor, right? So you would be being proactive in that case, right? Instead of waiting for an incident or a near miss. I mean, near misses are a great predictor too, but wouldn't it be great to catch it even before that, right? So that you're seeing an inspection and going, hey, we keep seeing that this door is locked. What's going on? We need to change process or whatever in order for the fire drill to work or whatever it is. or we're constantly seeing flat tires on the trucks going out, and we need to make a change in either what tire we're using or whatever. So that would be, yeah, for predictive, it's an excellent tool. So you'd probably be looking for some good analytics on the inspection, the results of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be fun to build.
No, that's like Christmas to me. I'm super excited.
The incidents first, and now the inspections. That's great. Okay. So would we be able to? So who here has their worksheet? Would we be able to get those positions?
We're halfway
Daniel?
through.
Halfway through?
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Um,
formatting a little different to make it
okay.
easier.
Okay. Will you be able to break those out by department so that we could send them to each department? If not, we'll figure out how to get
They're
that
listed
done.
by positions,
Sorry, maybe
or job numbers.
job code.
They're listed by job code, so, I mean, I have a general idea of who has what.
So do we want to maybe like maybe we can just go through then and do those, and we can. I mean, we can even just use the hard copy here if that'll work. But maybe we could start putting those position lists together so that we can start assigning which training belongs to which of those positions, so we can kind of build each of those workbooks out. Maybe we'll just do it that way. Does that sound reasonable?
You
And
mean
we'll
an electronic version of the position status report?
Well, what I was going to do is that report you gave me yesterday, I was going to take each of the position titles, the job code position titles, and get the distinct list for each department. And I was going to send it out to that department so that they could then assign those to the training list, training policy and procedure lists that they've built. So that's what I was going to do with the electronic version.
There is a, that org chart you have right there, Chris, doesn't have a position number on each position in each department?
There is a number, 1661. Does that customer service rep? Is that the same as the job code?
No, that's different.
Position number.
Oh, okay, position number, that's right, not job code.
Okay, because the position, where it says position title, is that related to the position number or is that related to the job code?
The title
Yeah,
is related, yes, it's the name of the job code,
Maybe a business title, but
generally speaking, yes.
okay. All right, well maybe we can do it just using this list then if we go through sort of on a department by department basis, and then we can start assigning these. So we'll just have to key them in. Or maybe we can just hand out each department of these and they can build the list right now. What do we think of that?
Were you still gonna send us a list of the?
Yeah, I think they would need that from us before that, then
First.
otherwise they
Yeah.
would have to know what each certification is attached to that position, and I don't think they know that.
We do not.
Well, that's the mapping that we were gonna do.
We need the list from Daniel of what the certifications are.
Oh, that's right. But you've got other
Some,
stuff, right?
They have their
But,
other
yeah,
stuff,
just
yeah.
not the,
Just not the entire list? Oh, you're halfway through that list right now? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right, well, maybe what we can do then is build the position title listing so that once we get all of those, so it's going to be a little bit of keying here.
well,
We could do it off
I'm
of
gonna
here.
try and get that into an electronic version. I can go run and try and do that
And see if we
now.
can-
I just don't know if you have to key that all in, that's all.
No, I don't really want to. I don't want to make people do it, but I just just to get going. But if we can get like this listing here, and then just by each department, the distinct.
Okay, we can run a query for that.
Okay, that'd be perfect. So department and then the list of the positions would be awesome.
You want to take a break?
Yeah.
You can run down and see if you can do that.
Yeah, why don't we take a break, guys, and
What
be
time
back
do you
in.
want us to-
Why don't we come back for, what do you think, Daniel? How long you need?
We're getting a list of, I gotta make sure I'm understanding what you're wanting here.
Yeah.
Because we have two separate lists. As far as getting an electronic version of the department, number, job code, title, and person, that takes 5 minutes.
Perfect.
As far as attaching then the list of the
Certifications.
certifications to that in the same document, it'll take a little bit longer than that.
Okay, so let's start with this because we've got lists of policies and procedures. We can start
Okay.
banging, and then once you get the certifications, we'll add those in.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so why don't we take,
Yes, you are.
why don't we come back at like 10:02? Does that work for everybody? And then we'll carry on.
In their shop, she has done some stuff on Etsy. Right now she's done some earrings. Balls. She can't get enough stuff in. She does have Instagram. Yeah. She has Facebook, but her Instagram would be good to follow. It's on Clover. Yeah. She's like, she's two. Yeah, so I don't know but she, there's a couple coffee shops in Bison. She supplies all their cocktails with them, so it's really cool. Yeah, there's a bakery in Canada, but she's out there coffee cups. And it's awesome. Like, I'm the biggest by her. Yeah, she's doing does she come to home? No, they haven't. They came out last year, but it had been, so Tom was like really struggling how fast she was to keep up. He laid off from the dogs, so once that good job. This is all that happened. So they like every time I talk to them, it's something different. So 8 and 10. They're actually, this something makes me, she's having her. They're like, I'm talking about this, but. Yeah. They're doing it. Yeah. She was my only girlfriend. You know, yeah. So good. He's the one that keeps track of it, and we keep track of it.
Oh, you're done already? What they do?
So there's some CEUs and then also like
Anymore?
No?
That's what I was saying, he does that.
They took it away from us.
I don't trust you.
Yeah. The auditors came in and said,
Right.
no more.
Conflict for you.
Hurricane.
Anything that anybody complain about from the
Jason, those inspection
Is that your
reports,
wish?
I'm not kidding, keeping candy shop with that for me. I've seen other cities and
That's
other,
taking a lot of our
other,
customers.
public entities that have stuff like that. It's something they created in-house.
Mhm.
The parking.
Wanted to try and get something like that for us, but I just expending the time or the resources, I just didn't have it. And that's included, and it's like,
So we
I
have
think
some
what we'll have to
meetings.
do though for you is we need to build out the reporting. Because basically, right now, it's essentially an inspection log. So there's a few lookups you can do, but it's not gonna give you statistical stuff like over time. Here's what's happening with these inspections kind of thing. So that we need to build out.
yeah.
And do it by inspection. We can build even some pie charting for you for like by inspection type. You know. Even are we doing sufficient numbers of inspections, right?
Right. I can tell you right now.
Probably not, right?
We do some, but it's not, yeah.
So some of the
And
reporting.
this is, so one of the things, and make sure, I want to make sure I understand this correctly, I'm talking to Cody about this. So let's say you've got your CDL inspection on your vehicle, and we require that you do that on your iPad before you get in your truck and drive away in the
Yep.
morning. So when they hit complete, it's time stamped and date stamped, right?
And person stamped.
And person stamped.
They're an authenticated user in the system.
So if we had a situation where tire falls off, they can't come back and say, well, I did my inspection,
Have a good day.
here it is.
Yeah.
Because, well, it's already time stamped, so either you did it, tire falls off at 4 o'clock, if you do your inspection
Prior
at
to.
4:15,
Yeah,
guess what?
yeah.
You were trying to beat the system, but if you did it at 3:30, then you
Yeah,
did it. and it's-
exactly. No, it's all date and time stamped, so, and that's not changeable, right? Like that happens in the background, and then we can run audit logs against that and double check and verify. So, yeah, for sure, that's definitely good. This is one of the kind of scorecard reports that we developed for through a couple customers for the inspections. So basically, these guys have quarterly requirements for their employees, how many inspections they need to do. And then we've got,
that, right, with your supervisors.
yeah,
The
yeah,
best thing
exactly.
that we
For
got was
safety
when we
incentive,
had
they have to do so many inspections.
Exactly. And so this is actually for the utility, so it's probably very similar to what you're dealing with. So they have these things set up where, you know, Jan, Feb, March, you got to count them up, make sure that they're doing by quarter, all the ones.
They actually let her sit in
And
his car.
this is in an Excel, but on the screen, you've actually got, you can click on those numbers and get the details of the inspections or things like that.
That's super nice.
There's also, I think for you, Bob, there's one that, and I don't have these live in our demo just because we don't have enough good data in order to show them, but these are ones of our customers.
So when you, then at the end of the year, when you're asking for the safety incentive, you can include that in that report. We can then send forward that, not just that report, forward that report to finance. There's our proof in finance that they did what they had to do. That's nice.
So this is for the incidents and accidents, which are all really incidents, just with different types. So basically it breaks it out by the different categories and stuff of what's happening in your organization, monthly and then year to date.
That's really nice.
So, yeah, like there's a ton of categories in this, like number of vehicle accidents under 5,000, over, you know, we can customize this stuff to report whatever you guys need. We've also got total net hours worked, total number of employees.
That would be
kilometers.
huge too, to be able to tell our employees we've had this many hours worked without any lost time injuries.
Exactly. So yeah, the lost time injuries and
Right now,
modified work days.
generating that is a ton of work,
Yeah,
because it's all,
that's right. Yeah, you gotta,
it's us
It's in filing
creating the
cabinets
information.
and it's-
Yeah,
right? And then you're gonna redo some of that because you're not sure. And, for environmental incidents, what types occurred, and then how many of those you're seeing across the year. You can export this to Excel if you want, do some graphing, whatever, kind of makes sense for you. This what kind of substances were leaked in those environmentals. Then we got the work observations. How many of those that are occurring, how many substandard conditions were found, so those are the findings
yeah.
for those inspections. How many of those were completed, how many are still outstanding by month? So you can see how you're trending in terms of getting stuff done and making sure all those things are being taken care of. The Joint Health Safety Committee workplace inspections as well. They wanted them broken out by different departments. Then these are your safety meetings. How many action items come out of them, how many are completed, how many are left outstanding each month. So you can really dig into this and get some good statistical analysis of what's happening through the organization for, well, all those categories of forms really. And how many times an external authority was contacted, so Ministry of Environment, Labor, or Natural Resources.
Yeah.
You can see how many of those you got. And then it's got, for each of their locations, it's got, hours worked since last time injury, and the date of the last one. So you can kind of measure that.
That is really nice.
Yeah. This I think would be very helpful for you.
Yeah. I would love our department to be able to have that information
Yeah.
without doing a ton of office work, hours of work just to generate the numbers. And
Well, if they're entering it in, once you start entering all those things into the system, you print this, this
It
takes
just
2 minutes to
runs.
generate the report, yeah. Just a click of a button, so,
So we can have wastewater on the road, we can have
yeah,
You just
streets
have
on the
to,
road
you just have to get people committed
to do it.
to do
do
it.
it.
yeah.
Get the
you gotta be doing
iPad,
it.
get them,
That's right.
get them doing it. But once that's in place, the other nice thing about that is, in a lot of places, sometimes you get asked, well, what are you doing? Well, here's my report, this is how many outside inspections I've done, this is how many inspections,
Yeah.
these are facilities, these are,
You
this
can
is,
eliminate my
this is
whole
it.
job if they all jump on this.
Well, I think
Or
it,
expand it, make it full-time,
there you go.
so that you can
Really
help.
keep track of it.
Uh-huh,
Well, what this stuff allows you to do, instead of just trying to collect the info to try and figure out what's going on, you can actually now act on the statistics and,
Right.
and change things to
Well,
make
yeah.
those lower.
yeah,
Right, that's really what this allows to do. There is going to be a bit of culture change, right? Because people are not used to plugging it into an iPad or coming and doing it on the computer and stuff. But even for their jobs, it's a lot quicker going through yes, no type of little thing. Yes, no.
Yeah.
You can do it a lot quicker than you got to do your report, go file the report. Somebody else has got it. Then you got to put in a spreadsheet that you did one.
Uh-huh.
Like all that takes time, right?
Yeah.
that's what they're currently doing.
Yeah.
Cody will create a checklist, and then they've got to do the checklist, and they've got to turn that into somebody in the office, then they scan it, then it gets to Cody, then Cody has to chart it
He
and track
keys it
it.
into statistics. Yeah.
But if they're just pulling on an iPad and going,
Boom. And then Cody's seeing the results of that.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then they can, everybody can see it too, they can see it, they know
Yeah.
they're out, their department
Totally.
managers can go in and say,
Exactly.
yeah, manager can look at it and say, hey, this employee hasn't done
yeah.
an inspection on their truck in 10 days, but I know they're driving it. So
Yes.
then I can go talk to them.
Yeah, we gotta
Say,
change
hey,
that. Exactly.
We need to make this happen.
Yeah.
Are they not aware of the policy? Did we not train them properly? And then you can
Right.
start changing those things, right? Let's pull the guys in. We're seeing too many of these inspections not being done. Let's make sure everybody's aware. That's,
Well, a lot of our
Job-
drivers do an inspection every day on their trucks, to walk around, they all do.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you've got your job hazard analysis
Yeah.
sheet that they've got, and you can put multiple names on there. You do the same thing here, just call it an inspection, job hazard analysis inspection. So before we start our job, let's talk about the hazards that we're gonna face. And then you click save at the end with everybody's name that's there. It's time and date stamped.
Yep.
Yeah.
They all get credit for.
Everybody gets credit
being
for
part
doing
of
it.
Well, the whole department, how?
Yeah, it allows multiple people to participate too.
Yeah. And the guys would, I think the guys would jump on it, because right now, they hate the paper, because the
Yeah.
paper's so cumbersome, it's so small, I can't write in it, I can't,
Mhm.
okay, here's an iPad. You take as much space as you want, or as little as you want.
Yeah,
Make the letters as big as you want, or as small as you want,
yeah.
run through it. That really helps in
In our department.
so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it sounds like it's gonna be big for you guys. I think,
Big, great tool.
yeah, yeah. Just getting over that initial hump of introducing new stuff, right?
Mhm.
Yes,
That's the only thing.
teaching the old dogs new tricks.
Well, we got a lot of old dogs over there
And they like their old tricks.
that's been there 30-some years,
Yeah.
and they're hard to change.
Oh, we don't have anyone like that in our department.
I think they all have those.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting fewer. We have a couple left.
Same here. Well, we've got quite a few.
Depends on how long some of ours are gonna stick around.
Do you guys have a big, like in the power lines, the power line technician guys and those guys, the skilled trades guys? Do you guys have a big attrition problem? Like recruiting and getting new skilled guys in? No?
No, because you have to stay up to date and trained.
But do you have like a big bubble of guys who are ready to retire and then filling in their positions?
Really skilled people coming in.
No, because you have to be trained in order to be in there. And it pays well, so people want that job.
So you're not seeing that?
No, we don't have a problem with.
In Ontario, it's a big issue right now.
Really?
They've got all these, like
Moved to
a
Canada.
lot of guys who are retiring out and they don't have enough new apprentices
People
to
Really?
take the job, yeah.
Wow.
So they're scrounging, like they're poaching from other utilities and things like that
Wow.
to keep
We
them.
better hang on to ours then, huh?
Oh, if somebody from Ontario comes here from a utility, I'd beware. They're trying to steal all your.
We
It's a
do
big
have a
problem.
Canadian working for us, maybe he'd like to go up.
Who is this?
Well, that might be disclosing
Yeah.
too much information. If you just walk past their desk, you'll see the
You'll know.
nice proudly displayed flag.
Okay,
Canadian
probably.
flag.
Jared,
Okay.
Colonel. My ancestry's from there, so.
From Canada?
Yep, my grandfather was a dual citizen and my grandmother both.
What part of Canada?
Actually, he was from Ontario
Oh, yeah?
area, yep. But I only know him once he lived in the United States. but- See about that. Still trying to figure it out.
I'm originally from the UK. We came over when I was 12 and moved to Toronto.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's,
Yeah, he was from Sault Ste. Marie.
oh really? I love Sault Ste. Marie. A friend of mine's got a cottage right in the Grand Channel there on St. Joe's Island,
Oh, that'd be
and we
nice.
go up. Yeah, we meet up there sometimes, and it's beautiful in the summer.
Yeah, I've never been able to.
It's pretty cold in the winter
Oh, yeah.
though.
Probably why he moved to California.
Those are some
Stay warm.
extremes right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Although he's by San Francisco, so it never really gets super hot. Used to be.
Yeah, it's pretty moderate there, right?
Yeah.
How hot does it get here in there? Like, some-
100.
Oh, yeah, that hot,
For a
eh?
few days, yeah.
Oh, because it feels quite cool here now.
This is cooler than
Unthinkably
normal.
cold.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
What's causing that?
I don't know, whatever you would go.
Don't worry, yeah. That's a good one. El Nino. I
They
don't know.
shouldn't call it that, right? It's really not global
Yeah,
warming. It's
climate
just-
change.
Yeah, climate change. It's instability or whatever. I don't
Last
know.
year, we did not have any snow on the mountains at this point,
No.
in the year.
Oh, really? Was
But we
that?
had like 70 degrees in February, so go figure.
Yeah,
That's
this
crazy.
year.
So we're all over the
That's true.
place.
Oh, this year you had 70 and,
Yeah.
yeah, we did too.
My
It was
tulips were
crazy.
coming up and
Yeah.
already
They thought it was
blooming, and
spring.
We had snow. Yeah, it was crazy.
We had the same. It's a little warmer in Windsor. Windsor is like the most southern point of Canada. It's right by Detroit there.
Yeah.
And so it's fairly warm there. Our winters don't get too cold. Sometimes it's
Really?
almost just like an autumn.
And
We
then
get
the
a couple
night
snowfalls and then
it's
it's
4 hours.
wet.
You would think it would be though, being up there by
Mm.
Great Lakes.
I think we actually kind of missed because we've got
In a
Erie
belt.
and Lake St. Clair and then Lake Ontario. I think we kind of we're like a peninsula and I think we're kind of covered by the lakes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
That's great.
They help moderate it a bit.
Yeah, because I have a cousin that lives in northern Michigan, and they basically have, 4 feet of snow.
Well, that's like
all
Sault Ste.
winter.
Marie. Northern Michigan that's like Michigan goes up pretty high. The Upper Peninsula is like in the Sault Ste. Marie area, so they get a lot of snow. That's quite cool. Like really from where we are, if you just drive north for 3 hours, it's a lot cooler there in winter.
So you're in a nice area.
Yeah, we're it's not too bad. What we have now is a kind of a boom in our town. So we're pretty small. We're about just over 200,000 people in Windsor. And what we have is a lot of Canadians who are from like Toronto and north of Toronto. They're retiring to Windsor because it's fairly reasonable cost of living. So they can from their $1.5 million Toronto home, they can get
They can settle nicely.
lots, right, and put a bunch in the bank in Windsor. And the weather is not too cold, right?
Right.
So
That's
for-
nice.
yeah, it's not bad.
Might have
But
to
we don't
look
have any.
there.
We don't have any mountains like this.
Really?
You'll be disappointed. It's completely flat.
Flat.
I couldn't do without the mountains.
They call it the breadbasket of Ontario because it's just all farm, like it's all just flat farmland. It's not
That would be
it's not very
rough.
rocky, so it's perfect for farming.
That would be rough.
You take him in, you put him down.
Oh, and Tracy, I was trying to set up the licensing reporting last night and I couldn't get it to work.
Okay.
So I sent a note into the guys, so I'm hoping they'll have it set up so I can show it to you before I leave.
Okay.
So as soon as they come back to me, I'll.
We're all they're texting me thinking, hope it's not my son, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I just pulled you up on Google Maps, so I didn't realize, I guess I haven't really looked around here at how much further up that goes.
Well,
than-
this is Michigan proper, and then if you go higher, is the Upper Peninsula, which is this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's this piece next to Wisconsin, it's way north. So
Uh-huh.
you're up, Quebec City, Sault Ste. Marie is right in the Grand Channel here. So you're up that way, that same way.
Okay.
So that's quite a bit long.
Actually,
Yeah, we're like way down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't realize Canada came down right
We're the
there.
most southern point. Well, yeah, you expect it to keep going
Yeah.
across here, right?
Yeah, because you're lower than most of you,
You got it.
New York.
Yeah, and they had a pretty mild,
Okay.
pretty mild winter this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my grandfather and my grandmother were both dual citizens because then my grandfather worked in the state of California, and so he had dual citizenship up to his death. He still was a dual citizen. He wouldn't get rid of his
Canadian?
I have no problems with that. See, I would be a perfect spouse for my husband because he likes Canada so much. I said, well, hey, at least my grandfather's Canadian. That's the only way I get in, His favorite singers are from Canada. His best man was from Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Daniel's like a dual citizenship.
Oh, that's cool.
Daniel Softly.
Oh, really?
Canadian as well.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know
What part
that.
is he
Surprised he hasn't
from?
brought it up. I don't know.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna bring it up, except we're being recorded now. They can probably edit that.
Maybe there's some reason he hasn't brought it up.
Just don't use any profanity when you're talking
Oops,
about
I
people.
did that the other day. That wasn't too bad. Yep, that's what I thought she would have done. She's like, oh no, my daughter went to preschool with him. Yep. I know. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, Mom, I'm fine. Well, because he didn't do his homework last night like he should have, like the rest of us.
Not being able to act one-on-one now is different. And because he's been he likes function. So you have a playroom upstairs. We've got a amazing way of so lazy. So mom can do it go play with toys. Remember a little bit of a break. It's fun. And they're
Were you guys able to, I know we talked yesterday about reporting and what you guys are currently using in terms of reporting for training statistics and who's up to date and that kind of stuff. Were you guys able to pull together, because I know you said you were using some spreadsheets to manage that stuff right now.
I think it's probably more a question of us figuring out what we would like to do, because honestly, right now, we don't have that report.
Okay.
And a lot of ours do it on the side, so they kind of keep track of their own.
Okay. All right.
So I just sent you that.
Okay.
But my question is, I'm not quite sure why we would be doing anything right now as far as entering, if that's all coming in from Kayenta.
We're going to be matching, so all the positions will come in from Kayenta, but we need to align the list of the policies, procedures that belong to those positions.
And any certifications that aren't needed when they're hired, before they're hired.
So on that note, Tony, Lynn, and I
Isn't
talked.
that going to be, I'm a little confused still, because by the time we pull in all of those positions, is it going to override this stuff? I mean, everything changes.
Well, there probably will be some adjustments through Kayenta, but I mean, I think it's going to be more like naming and things like that.
But they
The
might
positions are going to remain
or
pretty much the
that's
same
kind of the goal,
as you guys got
then you would
organized it.
move up a notch.
Right, but
And
in-
so it's things like that, or like in practice, they said they're
Yeah,
not required to
I
have a
think
pesticide
I'm
license,
understanding.
but if they come in with it,
But like
then
all
they
of
really
the
want it.
requirements
We want to help
and
them
stuff,
keep it, and
like,
so he told me today that they
driver's
just have to have so many
license,
CE, so I made my
you know,
own call.
professional engineer's license and stuff like that, that's coming over with the position. But you seem to want to key that information in already.
I don't think those are coming in from Kayenta.
No, they absolutely are.
The requirements for the certification?
Yeah, that's, because they're supposed to be using that to, when we go out to our recruit. So we'll consider, all right, we're gonna recruit for this position number 100.
Right.
And so Kayenta is supposed to be telling us, they're gonna look at that position number, see all of the requirements that are associated with that, and that's what they're gonna use to create the announcement.
For the recruitment.
For the recruitment, so
Yeah.
that if you don't have that when you come in,
Yeah.
you get screened out. So all of those position numbers will have a list
Of the requirements for
of
recruitment.
those driver's license, engineer's
Yeah.
license, wastewater certification, and stuff like that. So to me, it seems sort of redundant to put it in here right now, because we have to put it in there, and that's supposed to come over.
Well, there's still, the other side of that is the policy procedure.
I totally agree with that one, but
And the certifications that you don't need
For recruitment.
for recruitment, but we would like
right,
to add.
but keying all the other ones in right now seems sort of.
So do we have a listing?
So I sent you this with all the position numbers.
Yeah.
And what's in there. So if you needed to attach certain policies to certain positions, you could do that right now.
Yeah.
But right now, Chris is working on the list that has like the minimum requirements. This one requires a CDL, and this one requires wastewater certification level 1, 2, whatever. That's what she's trying to finish, and I'm thinking, well, what would we be using that for right now? I don't think you'd want to key that into Springboard, or not Springboard, sorry, compliance science, because that has to come in from Kayenta. We're going to be doing it again anyway.
In Kayenta is what you're saying,
Yes.
those ones. So we can omit those ones, like, if that's how that's gonna work.
That's how it's been explained to us.
Yeah, okay. So is there an easy way we can omit those ones then? And
Or
just have,
well-
To me, it's if I see that list, then I can type in anything that's not on that list.
Right, and I'm fine with that. What I'm a little worried about is making all these individuals key that into.
Yeah, I don't wanna do that
And
either.
then bringing it over anyways.
yeah,
So, if you look at that and there's things that aren't there, number one, if there's things that you require for the position that are not on that list, we need to know. And number two, if you have other things that you want to associate with it that are not, necessarily a minimum requirement.
for recruitment, yeah.
But then the bigger question then comes is, should we be putting that at the position level anyways?
Well, like one of ours, let me give you an example. If we have a shift lead, we require that eventually they get CPR trained. We don't require that they're CPR trained before we hire them, because we do our own CPR certification, so they just have to attend one of our trainings within 3 months of being hired.
Right, but I would argue that that is a minimum requirement, and we should be building that into the job announcement and making that a requirement when they come in. We have several that we say, you need this, but we'll give you X amount of time, so we wouldn't use it to necessarily screen out. But after a certain period of time, it's gonna show up as incomplete, get it done.
Should we get Tony Lynn in on this
I think it would be
conversation?
very important, because, the whole premise is that our recruitment, compliance is all coming in from position control. And then that loads up, and this is what's used to track actual compliance with it, not the thing that tells you, from the very beginning, we require this.
Yeah, and those ones that are gonna come across, as we can omit those. But you're thinking that you're actually gonna change the way you designate those within Kayenta?
What I'm saying is I'm not entirely sure, based on how it's been described to me, how it's going to work.
Okay,
I think it's important that that's understood first,
okay,
before we go through this massive effort to tie all these things to positions. The policies and stuff, department policies, that makes total sense.
yeah,
And if they need a position number and a title, and that's fine.
mhm,
It's all the other stuff specifically associated with that position that I don't think it's been determined whether,
Which
how
way
much is
it's
gonna
gonna
be
go.
in Kayenta.
okay, so that's fair, so then let's see if we can grab Tony
Well, and
Lynn.
like my entire list, it's applicable to anyone that is in the council department. So I don't have position-specific ones necessarily.
Well, you would have
Right.
just council employee position, right, which would be,
Well, there's different types, because the way that Dan has described it, there's all these different position codes.
So you are assigned a position number.
Right, position number.
So you're first assigned, so you create you as a person, and then you're assigned to a position number. The job code has already been assigned to that position number, so when we assign you to that position, you inherit
The job code.
that job code.
which
Right,
is,
but there's like we have like 5 full-time people, so there would be,
Right.
basically, it seems like it's more, I don't know, it seems like it's more work to associate those when it just matters for everyone in that department. So I don't know, if I'm explaining it.
I think I'm following.
no, you are, so you're thinking that instead of actually managing.
I sent you my
through here,
workbook this morning. Everything in there is applicable to everyone in the council,
So it's just gonna be one,
council employees.
A good example of this is if you're thinking citywide. So one of the things that we would do when we're setting up a position number, we're gonna say, all right, because on the position number, there's supposed to be a required slot. And that's where we'd identify driver's license and all this other stuff. But one of the things that we would put in, because it's citywide, is the training, employees essentials.
Right.
And so that, when that comes over, it's automatically assigned to that position, then it gets assigned to that person, and that shows their list. What she's saying is.
So we can just assign a department.
Yeah, and so what I would think would happen on that is if we had, you know, a list of those, we could assign it to the position number itself, and then that comes over as well to say.
Because there's like however many policies, and it seems crazy to have like each one of those as something that you have to specifically assign to each position. Whereas like,
Yeah, just say all these people get all these things.
Well, the question is, where does it get assigned?
right.
Is it in your system, or is it in Cayenne Dash? And then we have to make sure everything's associated with that position when it comes across. And then, when you're in there, you maybe add, you're gonna have an issue with police and you've got specific things that cannot be tied to a specific position. Anything that is kind of an umbrella
Yeah,
should be.
Right.
so would those corporate-wide things not be set up as additional? So can an individual have multiple job codes?
No,
Can they have multiple position numbers?
no, not that I know of. I mean, I haven't seen the system yet.
Okay, so
So
we,
the purpose of the position number is to say, if we started brand new and got rid of every single person in the city, we would still have an understanding of how everything's structured. Because it's tied to the position. The position is what's key. And then it's just who's in that particular position inherits all of the responsibility, roles.
Is that an option?
Things and all that stuff going on.
I don't know where she's at.
So if you look at the org chart, for example, that's why they have those position numbers underneath.
well, I think that, because for us, like in our system, I mean, position may be a misnomer, right? Because it means something different
And it means
in
something.
your HR.
Yes.
And really, it's actually just a grouping of requirements that usually you group them by position, but they can be grouped in different ways, right? Like, so the corporate, like for example, you wouldn't group them by positions. You would say, council requirements, and that would be assigned to everybody who's a council.
That's what I call it too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how we've used our department numbers to say, you know, if you have specific trainings for tree trimming. You know, this is why you see some in here, finance, you've got finance, and you've got finance accounting, and you've got finance purchasing. These are various subunits of the department. That you could say, anybody who is assigned to this department has, and the department is used loosely as a term, sections and divisions and stuff, but anyone who's assigned to this particular unit has to do this stuff.
So, like in here, so council has just the one. It doesn't have
Council
any
just
sets,
has one.
and that's because you have one set of training, or one set of requirements to be a council member, is that true?
No, we're talking about like employees for the training as far as I understand. 'Cause-
Right.
Yeah.
So we have procedures and policies that are specific to our department. And so that's what is in my list that I submitted in the workbook.
Right.
So everybody in your department has, that's all they.
They should all know
there's no
how to do all of
subsets.
it, even though there's,
And I don't want to see it. Not because
Yeah.
it's not cool.
right, because it's not applicable to anyone
It
else.
has nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, no, I'm thinking,
It won't be that tall.
so I need to, oh, Gary just left, okay, I want to talk to Tony Lemon, see if we can get her in here. She said she was coming in this morning, but.
Because I think, I mean, your system obviously can, I don't know all the ways that it can be parsed out.
Right.
Um,
Well, I'm thinking now that actually the department is actually maybe a better way to.
But here's the thing, it's like, is there not a way to do multiple ways of doing it? Because some things are going to be like, the whole department has this policy or this procedure for something. But throughout the city, there might be someone who's in a similar type of role, like an administrative assistant, and they might need to have all the procedures from finance, like those policies
Yeah, they have
for
a,
that
they have a crew.
type of job
They do a
specifically.
show.
Yeah.
So is it,
A group and then
can it only be configured to do like one thing, or can it be?
they try to check.
No, you can
You can do
configure ours
various-
to do multiple. The issue that we're running into right now is gonna be the
They don't pay
administrative
much,
burden of maintaining it in our system alone, because we can do what you wanna do in our system alone, we can do what Carrie needs in our system alone. But then the interface from Kayenta, we need to make sure that the setup on that side passes over so that those link up properly. So that when you pass a user over and it says, oh, my position is council, our system says, oh, this is the council stuff that they need. And right now that's linked through a user position or user assignment.
Right, so, but even then, there's gonna be stuff that's unique to a particular position. Council's not the best example, but, well, maybe council is a good example. So maybe, for example, you have a council member that comes in. They have a very specific, position number. They're an elected official, so maybe there is
He's totally like me.
something that an elected official has to sign, an ethics statement.
Yep,
Right?
yep.
Elizabeth doesn't have to sign that. No, so she's in the council, so that would be something that I could see tied to the position, so that when they're put into that position, it triggers it. But then, when they're brought across, your system looks at the department number and says, oh, they're in the council. So in addition to all this stuff that's required by the position,
Yeah,
they've got this stuff associated.
this as well, yeah.
Which a lot of our policies and procedures are mostly for staff.
Right, and most of the
Staff.
departments are gonna be looking at their department policies and procedures that way. Like the police and the fire have general directives that they have. And so they want to know that you looked at that. We wouldn't necessarily need to put that at the position level,
That takes a lot of patience.
but when it comes across, it assigns them,
Yeah,
that
that's,
looks and says, oh, they're in this department.
yeah,
By the way,
yeah.
and now I'm gonna assign this group,
Yeah.
policies for you to review.
Exactly. So we would have, so if we didn't have the Kayenta interface, we would set that up with a police all employees, which is all the general stuff they need to know. And then we would have, police SWAT team, or police patrol, and then police SWAT team, and then those would be the differentiators on top of all those things. So one person would have multiple groupings against them depending on their responsibilities and
Right.
activities.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. The only thing, and because personally, I don't want to have to look, when I look at a position number, I don't want to be the one responsible to assign, okay, now I gotta remember, here's all the council policies, there's all of these policies,
Yeah.
or finance policies. I want to limit it to really
What's
what
citywide,
HR is
yeah.
concerned with is, do they have these criteria in order to qualify for that particular position? And so I see very limited coming over from Kayenta. And then once you get in, you assign it depending on the department.
So it would
Just
be,
like
it would
that.
be the administrator doing that side of it.
Well, yeah, because then you've split it up into the various departments and they know, okay, this has to be, now, but I would hope that most of that was default. So as soon as they go into council, the council policies are attached to that based on that position or department number or name or whatever.
I guess for us though, is there a way to distinguish between like council employees and council elected officials?
If you want to do it at that level, you could, I don't know how you'd set up, but then you'd have to look at job code. I mean, that's how we do it right now.
Yeah.
To say anybody who is assigned to this job code, this is what they would get. So there's different ways you can parse it out.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I don't know what your system does.
Well, no, the system can handle that. The only, I guess, struggle I'm having right now is that just how that's gonna get configured in Kayenta in order to minimize, like I would, optimally, we would like it just to come over from Kayenta and just magically, all of the stuff gets assigned in our system without somebody, an administrator, having to go in and say, okay, well, John's an employee and he's a policeman, he's a patrol, and he's SWAT, and we're gonna have this.
So, I'm not a programmer,
Yeah.
so, but I'm going to pretend to be one right now. So the way I see this is, if I am, let's use council, I think it's a good example. To become a council member, say you have minimum qualifications associated. So I create a position number, and then I assign a particular job code to that position. And so I know that that is council member. And on the position number, in addition to the job code, it has the department number on it. Department number or department name. I would go in and the position level, under the requirements for that position, I would say whatever it is that's particularly needed. Generally, licenses and certifications. That's really kind of what we're talking about here on our side. And so you go in there and you say, all right, it needs a driver's license and it needs a public official, you know, certification, whatever it is. Kayenta then interfaces with your system. The first thing it does is when it comes over, it brings over those licenses and requirements, and magically, to steal your term, it means that person, it automatically tells that person, all right, this is when their driver's license, they have a requirement, and hopefully when all of their personal information comes along, we've attached that as well, so it'll set up the time when they have to expire. But as soon as it comes over, one of the first things your system looks at is department number, and it says, okay, it's in the council department number. What things have you associated with the council department? Right. So when it comes over, that's the first thing it does. Then, and I guess this would be an if statement, if the individual's job code equals this, then also assign this stuff. And that would be specific to the various council members. Okay. And you could do that throughout the city for most of this stuff. So for example, with Kari's area, lifeguard. Or what do you have? You have a CPR for your...
They have a lifeguard certification and a WSI that they can get.
And that's stuff that probably should come over from the first part, but if there's anything else that you...
Well, like their training manuals and policies and stuff like that.
Right, okay, yeah, so lifeguards have a... That's a great one. Lifeguards have a separate manual that they need to review. So there's department policies, and then there are
specific
for lifeguards. I don't know whether they've incorporated everything from this into this.
No.
So you make them read them both?
Yes.
Because that's one thing that you could do, is you could make sure that, you know, whatever this is covered in.
Generally, right now we don't
But
have both.
But if it's not, those lifeguard certifications would come across with Kayenta, and the licenses, certifications they come across, then it notices, hey, I'm in a Parks and Rec department, so now I need to do these general policies. Oh, but also, I'm a lifeguard, which is a very specific job code, and then it says, oh, now I gotta read these manuals. If it can do that, that's probably
and I think
the best way.
So I think, and this is a conversation that Tony Glenn needs to begin from the Kayenta side, but I think if in fact they sent over the department, which had the general stuff, and we set that up as a position in our system, and that's how that matched up, and you sent over a position, the job code as the other position, along with the stuff.
What do you mean by you say you set it up as a position?
Well, we call them the groups of the materials.
So when you're talking position, I think you're talking like the job code.
Well, not in this case. So for me, they're both considered positions, the department and the job code, just because they're groups of
So
stuff.
it's just how you sort it.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm just bucketing it and I'm calling it the same. So one is all of the council policy procedure stuff, and general, everything everybody needs to know that's going to be in council. And then the other one is specific to the individual. Those would just come over to our system from Kayenta, and they would appear to be two positions that we would assign in our system, both the same.
Yeah, that term position.
I know, and it's screw. I think every conversation you and I have had.
As soon as you say that, go back. Shiny object.
I'll call.
It's like a bucket or a function.
A bucket. Yes, I'll use different terminology.
Well, the problem is that Kayenta has their own language too.
I know.
And so their job code and
Yeah.
occupation, we're all talking different things.
So when we get Tony Lynn in here, I think the three of us may bust out into a fist fight if we just start talking position.
Yeah, I'm slowly learning all the things. So no idea this was a
But no,
language.
yes, we can definitely accommodate the scenarios. So the key is gonna be, I need to understand how Tony Lynn is just organizing those on that side. But I think for our purposes, what I would like to do is, set up we need to set up the groupings, so that there's council, we'll use your example because it's nice, council, general, and then we would have, groupings for the specifics of any of those, people that are in addition to.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we could do that, I think that would be the way to go. So in each of the lists that we do, we're gonna say, okay, the first position is gonna be the department name. That's gonna be all the general stuff. First grouping, sorry. Old habits die hard.
We're gonna learn to speak the same language. Promise you this.
Daniel will force it.
So we can do that. So we'll set up the groupings with the general one that's for.
Yeah, so I didn't send this to everybody, but if you wanted to forward it to them, because I didn't know what everybody's doing
Yep.
in the group, but if you want to forward to them, probably the most valuable thing that they have in here is the job code number,
Mhm.
which is here, and the department.
Okay.
Because that's ultimately how you're probably going to group things together.
Okay.
I would be grouping it by, if it was me setting up mine, I'd be grouping it by department, I'd be grouping it by job code, and then whatever comes over specifically for that position number.
Yes.
Those are the three areas that I see. And those are going to cover most of it. They're not going to address, we haven't even got really to the real bad wrinkles in the system when it comes to career series and stuff like that. So we don't talk about that today. But I don't know if it solves like police's issue of like if they've got a SWAT guy that they need training.
Well,
Because they don't assign someone to a SWAT position number, they don't assign someone to a SWAT job code, and they don't assign someone to a SWAT department. It's just kind of one of those things that they do to, when they're needed.
and I think what we decided with the police was they're gonna have to be maintained outside of HR. So she would go in and add specific SWAT things, and as
Two people.
two people.
You'd have to do it per people, because we're not big enough. Like if you're at Los Angeles, you're gonna have a bomb tech, and you can
Yeah.
put them in there.
Yeah.
But ours are just kind of, it's almost like a volunteer program within the city.
Especially
I've
teams.
got a mountain rescue, so get everyone who's, certified in there.
Yeah.
But that's not tied to, like I said, it's not tied to a department, it's not tied to a job code, and it's not tied to a position.
Okay.
That'll have to be tied directly to the person.
So we'll identify those for anybody who's gonna have those that are gonna be outside of what's gonna be in Kayenta, like the police had quite a few there, the SWAT stuff, we'll identify those as not managed by Kayenta, but they can at least be assignable, and we can put the requirements in that roll into SWAT needs.
Right, and so that comes back down to the issue that I mentioned yesterday is, I can see how Tracy and the police would create a bomb tech grouping.
Yeah.
And so she has, okay, these are the requirements that we need, and then she assigns that grouping to every individual. And so it tells them, you need this and it'll show up as compliant. My question is once that person is no longer on that team, and they take it away, will they still be able to see everything that they had, even though it doesn't show up as required?
Yeah, it'll still remain in their history, it just won't send out notifications and make you renew and all that stuff. So the record is there forever.
Yeah, so I think if you use those 4 methods, then I think we're going to be able to address most everything that we have.
Okay. All right. So they have PD patrol, parking, PD patrol.
I've got it. I've got it down. Now you just need to build the software to do that.
Daniel has the idea.
This is where I step on.
did your duty.
It sounds like you can do that already.
It can, it's just setting it up in the right way, right? Which is is exactly what, like this is exactly what we need to figure out in these sessions.
Gary, you know what Tony's going to do?
She's over in finance.
Her and us, we could probably sit down and
So,
go over what we just did to make sure we're talking the same stuff.
so she has time probably between noon and 12:30, then she has a meeting at 12:30. And when she's back over there at 1 o'clock. 1 till, I'm not sure how long we're going. But you want to catch her between noon and
Noon and 12:30?
You're hungry to eat now.
Okay.
so she's in the panic room. I can take you
You
over.
might want to join in the
My P drive
conversation.
is working today.
This is always
Oh, it only works about half the time. It disappears off of there. I have to go to the back way.
Just how we're organized.
How you're going to group these requirements, like for
Especially teams.
not, yeah, well, it's kind of like, so the way I'm looking at it, you're gonna have a position, and that position number is gonna have certain minimum licenses and certificates named coming from job code, coming from position. So ultimately, they'll reside at a position. That will come over, and then you're gonna have groupings in Springboard that are gonna look at a couple of things. First of all, when they come over, Springboard's gonna look at the position number that's coming across, associated with that person, and then that person is going to get notifications of when like your wastewater certificate is expiring, or when your driver's license is expiring. Then you're gonna have groupings over here, such as, you're gonna have some that are general, like citywide, you can just, as long as they come over, if it's citywide and applicable to everybody, you get assigned to that as well, so that's your employee's essentials training. But then when this stuff information comes over to the position, it's gonna look at department and say, okay, this grouping of policies is specific to everybody in energy. And so it'll assign that to that person. But then it could also look at the job code and say, oh, this is a unique job code and within that department. And therefore, this grouping will be looking at the job code and assign these trainings to them. In addition to that, the department, that's going to cover most of ours, but like specialty teams, Tracy would have to create a special grouping that says, you know, SWAT. These are the 3 things SWAT people do. And then she will have to assign that to the person individually. Because that SWAT is not associated by a position.
Yes.
It's not associated by department. It's not associated by job code. The only thing it's associated by really is the person. So they'll have to administer the owner's team, take them in and out of those requirements. But if you have that SWAT training and move to another team or another team, they'll still have a record of what training they did, just make sure that the alerts and stuff. If it can function like that, then I think we have most of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
And then, the information that people go out, early, yesterday we talked about there are trainings that they go out and take that are not required by that job.
Right.
That we can.
Does that ever go over some of the other stuff?
That was the first thing she saw. I was like, I'm like, you should have told him not to be $100.
Yeah, 2 places then when they have
I
to check.
think she could push it over. No, I think probably a little more discussion with exactly what just saying this is a base for his system is for reminders.
Right.
To manage the required stuff in the face, yeah.
That's fine, as long as we're talking back and forth. What I don't want is 2 different areas for them to check on their trainings.
Yeah, or re-enter it somewhere, yeah. We don't want that.
So what do we have to do?
Well, I think what we can do, so you gave me the electronic list.
I did.
So I'd like to just work that list and get it to the departmental folks with the, we're gonna go off of the department is gonna be one for general stuff, and then I'm gonna do job, the position job codes here. That's the
Right.
other position.
Yeah, so I'd be instructing everybody to say, all right, what are the groupings of policies that are specific to this department?
Yep.
And what are specific to these job codes?
Yep. All right, so I've got to work the list for a little bit though,
Okay.
so I don't know if we want to just take an early, do we want to do?
Yeah.
a
Yeah, I
break
need
or-
to eat, so.
Do you want to, try and meet over there with Tony?
Yeah, at noon?
I'll see if she can.
So what we're gonna do, guys, I'm going to, so Daniel just gave me the electronic list of the departments and those job codes. So I'm gonna take those and I'm gonna create each one, the departmental list that we're gonna use to then assign the training to in this session. So I need a little bit to just work that. So if you guys, if we want to break now and then meet back here for 1,
Is this Dave?
that would be optimal, I think. And then that way I'll just email those lists to you, and then we can start matching those up. Okay. So the way we're going to do it is there'll be the departmental stuff, which is going to be everything you need to work in this department, the general, health and safety policy, the stuff everybody needs to know about, and then we'll have the job codes, which are going to allow us to do the specific things that are specialties within, okay? So and I think that's going to cover, okay? All right, very good. Thanks, guys. Sorry for the delay. We just have to make sure we were on the same page.
So, table holder over there.
Oh, is it
I already sent it.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna, so I'll just work this spreadsheet and then what time you come back? Right before? Okay, yeah, I'll be here then, perfect, thank you.
So will you be sending one to Denise?
I will send one to, did I get your?
So Daniel, we're gonna come back to, we'll need it.
Cause I didn't get, I didn't.
What's that?
I've got Bud with you as the,
Yeah.
Oh, bud.
Okay, so why don't you give me your email?
Okay, it's, D. L.
And Matt, you could, if you wanted to, you could go meet with Dave now, he's in the panic room, or if you wanna wait until this afternoon.
Okay.
I would like, I'm trying to encourage you to meet with him before.
I'll get that to you then, thank you.
Thanks so much.
And then,
Text our schedule.
Yeah.
But if you have time and you, before the panic room, have your little discussion now.
Yeah, I might get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Official title is Long Branch Arborist.
I moved the desk, I'm sorry. Turns out I'm bigger than I thought I was.
Yeah, can you check that?
Or maybe unsteady is the other word.
I definitely saw that they changed it from
No worries, no harm, no
EAT or
foul.
something. Yeah, so, yeah, so try and find that and see.
I can see they changed it since I last looked at it, but they weren't changed.
I still don't see the need to have them be certified as arborists because, first of all, none of them are.
Sorry. I'm a mess today. Apparently I need to sleep more at night. Apparently. Is that how that works?
Yeah, arborist, a term that refers to all forms of arborists, I understand.
It's not the most recent one, but at least it'll.
Anyone that proves an interest, that's not true. That's all right.